Hey, we had another incredible day in the market today, and I'm really excited to review SEGG with you. Now, I am going to post my full trading session, but I just wanted to give this quick overview. So, here's how I ended on the day. Here's a screenshot or snapshot of my positions. So, I ended up red in 4 different stocks. Now, interestingly enough, SHPH, I was actually up in the pre-market about $800 on this. It was the only stock that I had traded. And then as I attempted it a few more times, I actually ended up giving all of that back and going red. And then I was red on TWG, IVF, small red, and POLA. So it was a little bit of a challenge for me today. And then SEGG started hitting the scanners. So I want to highlight that one. Again, I'm going to post the full trading session. I will speed it up so that you can watch it on a little bit faster time, but you'll be able to see how I took my entries and my exits and what ended up working out on some of these stocks and why I went red on others. So if I come back over and pull in the trading monitor here and we take a look at my executions, I'm going to roll down to my very first executions on SEGG, and that was at 10:32 at 212. So that is this candle right here. Okay, this is the 1032, which was the unhalt. Now, this halted at about basically $1.99, and then as it unhalted, it was holding that halt level, so I added right away. 1,500 shares, 212, 212, 210, and then 1,500, 230, 231, 236, again 236. And I loaded up on this because of the way it was hitting the scanners, the way the halt was. TTM was strong bull, MACD was open, and this looked like a great opportunity because many of the other stocks that had been hitting the scanner had sold off or pulled back. So we had multiple stocks that were up over 100% at one point, and SEGG just started to get all this momentum. So I ended up in the halt at 241, which was right up here at the top of this candle. And then on the unhalt, I took some off. So my average cost was down around like 220. And so I ended up taking some off there at 236, 240, 38, and then 240. And as this ran up, so 1032, so as this ran back up here, that's where I was taking some off. And I ended up going back in. So essentially, it ran up to the halt, false halted. I took some off, and then it ran right back up to the halt level again, and I added back. So I was adding back in as we were getting into the halt level. You can see 241 for all of those shares. And then as we came to the unhalt at 1038, which was this candle right here, I started to take exits. So out at 260, 248, 258. So nice profit there. And then I added in again on the 1039 candle, which is right here. So what I was looking for was this to break the new high at 260. And excuse me, I ended up selling there. Let me roll back up. Oh, that was SHPH. So different stock. Let me skip over SHPH and go back to SEGG. There we go. At the 1050 candle is where I got back involved. So this is the 1050 candle right here. And sorry, 1045, and it was on the 1050. So on the unhalt. So this halted again, 340, and I ended up adding on the unhalt. So again, it held the halt level. That's what I was watching to make sure we didn't dip back down below that halt level. And then I added at 361, 51, 51, 392, and then took my exits up into the $4. So really nice trade overall. Ended up having a nice winner on this. Again, my screenshot, let me pull it up here for you where I ended up on SEGG on the day. And ultimately just ended up being a really nice trade. It made me green on the day, which I was very grateful for. Drag this back over. So you can see where I ended up on the day. SEGG ended up making $4,800 on those moves off of the halt levels, and that put me green on the day, 1,500, which is great. A nice way to start out the trading week. And it was a little rocky. The session was a little tougher. I know coming into tomorrow, I'm going to focus in again on taking those appropriate entries with the 8 and the 21 EMA close together, focusing on this transition of the weak bear to strong bull. SEGG didn't really do much that way. afterwards. If we look at SHPH in the pre-market, you'll see more of what I was referencing. And this is a good example here. So we had this pullback, came up through the 21 EMA. We get this transition from weak bear to strong bull, and I was taking entries right here as this broke this descending resistance 374, and then looking to add. So really good opportunity today. Actually, let me scratch that. I didn't take this entry. I missed that entry. Then on the pullback when we were holding the 21 EMA, I was taking my entry right at the 390. So I could see these bottoming tails. I was taking my entry as 390 and then added, and we got this nice move up to 5. So it ended up being a nice trade. That was the pre-market where I had it as a winner. I tried it at the market open and it just did not go. So similar setup, weak bear to strong bull. I was trying to take this on the 21 EMA there at 399 and we just didn't really get any legs, and I ended up getting stopped out on this for the loss. So again, they don't always work out. Sometimes you're going to get that nice move up and that leg higher, like in this case. Other times you won't. So it's just important to protect yourself on the downside. But again, overall, really nice day today. Ended up 1500 thus far, having a great January, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Again, I'll be posting the full trading session just sped up. So if you want to watch it beyond this just overcap or a brief recap, then you can do that. Have a great evening.
Good morning. Taking a look at SHPH here. It's hitting the scanner, approaching pre-market high. And what I'm looking for is for this weak bear histogram to get closer to this strong bull. Our MACD has crossed. And I'm also keeping an eye on if we can get a pullback towards the VWAP and the 21 EMA. So our EMAs are lined out here, which looks nice, but I'd like to get into this down lower, kind of in the 320 range, and then look for that next leg higher. So we'll just watch this and see what happens. It's had some really nice movement here. We've had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green candles in a row, which is nice. So now I'm just watching to see if we can get a little bit of a pullback kind of consolidation and then really that next leg higher. So I'm just going to watch this here. Like I said, looking for something back in maybe the 320 to 330 range and see if we get that next move. SHPH is the second leading gainer right now. It's up 116%. I'm going to put a buy limit order in at 328. See if that gets filled. Low of that candle's 342. And I'm also not opposed to doing, the first 1 minute candle to make a new high, taking an entry there. We've come back into the 8 EMA and found some support here. Nice to see if we can get one more candle pull back, potentially. There's a minute left on this 5 minute candle. A nice pop there. This may just go without really coming back into the 21 EMA. Right up to 398. Nice move. Just slightly new high day there. So that was kind of our first pullback on this uptrend here. We just barely put in a new high. And we've got a new 5 minute candle forming as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this 5 minute candle forms, to see if this is going to just keep pushing much higher or if we're going to get a little consolidation. There's a nice move up there to 420, 425. So it's really pushing nicely. I'm not in, obviously, here at this point. It looks like on the daily there's actually a window to 559 from 407. So if we draw out 407, there's 437, big, nice move up there. So yeah, that entry there at 376 looks like that would have been really nice. I didn't take that because I didn't feel like it was set up yet, as far as looking for one more consolidation candle And I was really hoping to see this pull back down into the 21 EMA at the time, which would have been in that 330 range. And it just didn't pull back that much. So really nice move up. Hopefully some folks out there caught that 376, up to 447. That's about 60 cents a share. If you caught a decent portion of that move, that's a solid move. So now I'm just watching to see, will we get a 5-minute setup here? Second leading gainer up 165% right now. The leading gainer, IVF, it's actually pulled back quite a bit. It hit a high in the pre-market at 495. It's back to 291. So it's pulled back a fair bit. Third leading gainer is TWG. It had a really big move, went from 367 up to 1131, and then is now back at 681. So it's had a pretty steep pullback as well right now. So SHPH is the primary stock on my radar at this point, one that I'm watching the closest. So I took a starter right there, 416. I like the look of that bottoming tail, so we'll see what this does here. Just 500 shares. Watch if this can hold 4. What this might do here. Got a new 5-minute candle that just came in. Good volume profile on the 5-minute right now, and on the 1-minute. So this 393, 390 area kind of looks interesting as a pullback zone. So I'm going to add right there. We'll see these bottoming tails, and um, I'm going to assume a break even, or sorry, I'm going to assume a stop loss at basically 385, which will be right down near this wick. We'll see what that looks like. If I have to bail out, then I will. We've got 2 minutes left on this 5-minute candle. Looks pretty good, like we're trying to hold this little uptrend here, which could be nice. We can break back up above 409. That would be ideal, and then we'd like to break this possible little pivot at 420. So probably my first ad would be up here about 421, looking to push up. Or I should say my next ad. It's a nice push, 423. I added 500 there. Average cost is now 409. Add again. Average cost 414. I'm going to add again one more time there. So now my average cost is 417. Got some good buying coming in. Let's see if we can get up to 450. See if we can get that curl back higher and then a squeeze back up here. 437 there. Just sitting tight here still. See if this $4 level holds. I just started another 5-minute candle here. Larger seller there at 405, 20,000 shares. There's a 12,000 share seller at 404. A little bit of selling coming in. Looks like those sellers got bought up or pulled their orders. Right now, if this will hold shape, it looks like there could be a nice bull flag come in here on the 5-minute especially. But it's still got about 3 minutes left. See if we can get the nicer squeeze now. Anybody that shorted right up here, let's see if they'll cover and if we can get a push. I've got one sell order out there at 449. I was selling up here in the 430s. See that kind of just pull back from there, but see if we can get that curl back up here. We take half off there where we're not breaking the 430s. So I took half off. Got about 2 minutes left on this candle here. There we go. There we go. Nice. So another 500 off there. With that 449, I had an open limit order there. You saw just fill. And maybe we can get a push higher here. Still have 750 shares. That's a nice move. 457. Good. Let's see where this goes here. There we go. 460s. Now we've got this window to 559 on the daily, and I think we get to 5 here with this nice push higher. So I'm going to be content to look for potential opportunities to add here, actually. So I'm going to add back there with that holding 450. We're looking for that next leg up. Still got a minute left on the current 5-minute candle, so I just added in at 463. I'm going to assume break even on this 443. There's 470, 480, 498. There we go, guys, up to 5. I'm going to take a quarter off on the ask right there, a half more off on the ask. So average cost now is 463. I've got 469 shares left. 2 exits there on the ask. I did an exit for 491, 312 shares, and an exit 492 for 469 shares. And I will assume break even on the rest here. If we dip back down to 463, I'll be out. Just looking to see if we can still get this break of 5. We're now up 198% right now. Nice move higher up to 5. Our window was to 559. There's a 16,000 share seller at 473. There's 467. Okay, I'm out there. The rest, exit was 460. That was a nice trade, $829 there. Nice winner, nice way to start the week after the holiday. And, base hit trade, that's a good trade for me. I think what I was most happy about on that one is, I didn't catch this leg here, which would have been a really nice entry. I waited and saw this pullback, and when this put in, this green pivot was, or sorry, this pink pivot line was not there, but when I saw this come down and pop back up, that's where I took my entry. My first start was at 416. And then as I saw these wicks in the 390s, I'll show you this on my trading monitor here. We'll drag this over. So I took an entry there at 416, and then when these bottom wicks were holding in the 390s, I actually added there at 392. And then on the 844 candle, which is right here, I added again at 420, and then 428 and 431. I had a sell limit order in to fill at 449, which it did, and then I filled also at 427, bought back in at 463, and then was selling the rest up in the 490s. And I assumed break even on this, final 469 shares. So nice, starter trade after coming back for the holiday. Kind of a nice break the ice trade this morning. There was a possible 1-minute high right there at 480. This has enough momentum. We could still get up to this window of 559. Didn't come back into the 8 EMA quite as much. We did get this little tail, but sometimes I like to see these get into the 8 EMA a little bit more like I did back here, and that 8 to hold and show that the 21 is going to hold as well. So move up and then pull back. So I'm not looking to buy in here. I'm still watching the 5-minute chart. It had a nice move up. The last 5 candles have been green on the 5-minute chart. We're now getting a red candle right here that still has 2 minutes left. After 559, there's actually another window to 619. So we can draw that one in. So there's a window to 619. So window to 619, and then from there, there's a window to 675. So that'd be 619, 675, and then you've got a massive window Um, we got a massive window all the way to 1125. So if we could get into that today, that would be pretty incredible. That would put this stock up around 400% at that point, and it's already on people's radar, given that it's up 193% here. I feel like at this point, for me, I need to give this a breather. Potentially, we'll see this come back and get a kind of a bearish histogram again, and then a push higher. TWG is hitting the scanners again. Show you this move here really quick. So TWG had this big move, started at 363 all the way to 1131, and now it's kind of trying to curl up here. These pivots at 850. It's below the VWAP right now. Pivots at 850. So what I'm watching here is to see if we'll hold this 21 EMA. MACD's closed down here, so something to be mindful of. Deeper pullback there. So we're trying to hold the 21 here. We've still got 2 minutes on this current red 5-minute candle. We've got some really good gainers right now. IVF, the leading gainer. I haven't looked at that one. Well, I've looked at it on my other charts, but thing I don't like here are EMAs. They're all upside down. We're well down below the VWAP. This has had a pretty significant pullback, so this won't be on my radar coming into the open, at least at this point. SHPH is right now the most interesting to me. It's the second leading gainer. TWG's had some really nice volume. It's trying to break up through VWAP here, and TWG might actually be interesting, just given that it's not selling off, and it may want to make a curl here. You can kind of see what it's done. The EMAs are trying to line out again. Go back and look at SHPH. So we're trying to hold the 21 here. And right now I'm just watching. I don't want to be buying, into a deeper pullback right here. And I'm watching this histogram tail down. MACD's closed. And sometimes, again, there's never an always, but sometimes you'll get these, and the histogram will go strong bear, very small, back to weak bear, and you'll get this move back up the 9, or the 8 and the 21 EMA, and you'll get this nice kind of short squeeze back up. So that's really what I'm trying to keep in mind right now is, do we get something like that? And part of that's just being patient to see if that sets up correctly. We do have lighter selling volume on the 5-minute than the prior buying volume on the 5-minute, so that's a positive as far as there being a lot of buying interest here, or within the stock in general. So I'm just watching to see, is this going to kind of base out and give us a quick curl back up? MACD might still be closed at that point, so you have to be a little bit more guarded on taking a position. But right now we're trying to hold this low, which is in the basically 398. So I'll continue to wait here. Got a couple more. We've got 2 red bars now on the TTM histogram. Sometimes these will flip just right back to weak bear and you'll be up and running again. So just trying to be mindful of that and watch what might happen here. As you can see right now, I'm up $829, so small base hit on this one, which is good. Good way to start the week. And if this is the only trade I end up doing, then it will be, and it'll be another green day and a good way to start the week. So TWG, it tried to push up, and then you just see this fade again, and so not really focused on this one right now. IVF, it's trying to get its legs and see if it can come up and test the VWAP again. So SHPH continues to be the most interesting to me right here. This is still our strong bear on the histogram, and I'd be looking for this to switch back to weak bear and then make a move higher. We're holding $4. Excuse me, we're holding $4 here, which is positive. Low of this prior candle is 397. This prior low. We'll see if we can hold a higher low here, which thus far it looks like it's trying to. If we go look at the histogram sizes on the bearish portion, so I'm looking at the size of this histogram versus the size of this histogram. Right now they're pretty close. You can see the bottom of this one down at 38 or 39. The current bottom on this one's 35. So they're fairly close in size. We did get a nice curl as this moved back into the strong bull. That shows our squeeze has fired. And we just started another 5-minute candle here. So the high of the prior 5-minute candle is 430. So still just watching here. I'm not going to be too anxious to take this initial curl up here. And part of that is twofold. Number one, I want to see the EMA get back up above the 21. So that's the first thing. Also watching the MACD to see if these two lines will converge together and get closer. So if the MACD line will get closer to this signal line. And I'm also looking at this strong bear TTM histogram to see, do we flip weak bear, which are the yellow bars, and get closer back up to the 0 line? So that's another thing that I've had to learn just over time, and the benefit of trading in the simulator for me has been to push myself to be patient in these cases and not feel like I'm missing something if I don't get this curl right here. It's probably been so many times that I've taken this, supposing or anticipating this is going to curl up and move higher, only to then be stuck in the sell-off lower. And so I have just found, again, for me, this is the positive of a simulator, is to just wait and be patient, see if these moving averages will line out again to the upside and look for a possible pull back to the 21 EMA or further confirmation, like with the histogram flipping to strong bull and or the MACD then crossing up. Otherwise, I just feel like I get, I'm buying up here at 420 and next thing you know, I'm down 20 cents a share at 402. And so I just have to wait, and that's okay. That's part of learning your trading skill and learning that patience and not just thinking that everything's going to automatically go your way. It's part of that. Assume that you're wrong until proven otherwise. And many times that means just sitting out and waiting to see if you get confirmation. So it looks like SHPH might be trying to get this curl here. I am still watching our histogram on the TTM as we're weak bear, kind of entering a mid compression squeeze here. I'm watching the MACD as well. And as far as the histogram size goes, a little bigger on the selling side here for this kind of bearish histogram portion. Sometimes you see these, like this one's obviously much smaller now in comparison, but you'll see these be just a couple of bars of the red strong bear and then 1 or 2 bars weak bear, and it makes its next leg up. I really like that flip. It just shows there's not a lot of interest in selling this too much lower. But right here, I'm just watching. We're just kind of now getting the cross up of the 8 coming up through the 21 EMA, and I'm still watching this bearish histogram here, as well as the MACD. We've kind of trended back to where these may want to cross. So just watching at this point. I'm not going to get too antsy to enter here unless this really just looks like it's going to get strong. But I'd rather give this a little bit more time where we have this nice run up, give it a little bit more time to consolidate. I'm watching the 5-minute chart on it as well. This current candle has 5 seconds left, and it is the first 5-minute candle to make a new high after the pullback. So that candle just ended. high of that 5 minutes, 4:35, which is right where we're at here. And the MACD is kind of trying to cross, but maybe moving a little lower now. Still watching this histogram switch. Now, where this would get interesting is if this gets right up near the 0 line and this price is holding above the EMAs and our 8's above our 21, this touched 435 twice. You can see that right there, which also is the current high. That's the high of the prior 5-minute candle, which would have been right here. And now the current high of the current 5-minute candle, which still has basically 4 minutes to go. So if the 5-minute chart will hold the 9 EMA and stay above VWAP, then it would really look interesting as this comes into strong bull to see if we can get this move higher. But right now we're looking like we might get a little bit more of a pullback. So as I mentioned earlier, this had been up almost 200% as it hit 5. My best exits were 491, 492, and then I assumed break even on the final 469 shares, which took me out at 460. My average cost was 463, so I gave back about $12 based upon my average. And that average moves up, of course, because I'm adding on the way up. So you can see that over here on my orders, 392, 420, 428, 431. I had an open sell limit order at 450. This sell at, or sorry, 449. This sell right here at 427. My average cost was only about 414, so I did take half off there. The hesitation at 430 was very evident on the level 2, and that hesitation was essentially right through here on the chart. This 430 popped up and sold off, and when it came up again, it was sitting 430, and so I took some off there and then held on for that push up, and I did end up adding back at 463 and then selling, as I said, up into the 490s. So nice trade overall, up 829 on that one. Now I'm just working to be patient, see if this will give us another setup as we're coming in toward the market open. IVF is the leading gainer, but it's pulled back quite a bit. It's pulled back from 5 down to 320 right here. So SHPH looks like the best setup thus far. FRSX I was watching, and it's really pulled back. I was watching it here as it popped back up above the 80 EMA, but being mindful the MACD was closed and we were trending down, it just didn't look that interesting when it lost to 21. It was totally out or not of interest anymore. So SHPH, again, still looks like it's the most interesting. We can go look at TWG, popped up to VWAP, sold off. It's just moving sideways now. So SHPH continues to look like the one that might be the most interesting here. We've got this $5. I don't know, you can kind of count it like that, but I'd probably draw something a little bit more like this for descending resistance. And you can see, let's see, a longer tail here on this histogram, but it is holding $4. I mean, that's really a positive right now, is that it's holding this $4 level. Maybe up in the scanners, it's going to probably make a try at VWAP here. Like I said, it is the leading gainer, but I just feel like for me, there's been a lot of down pressure here. You're below the VWAP. This might pop up and get up to 4. It'd be really interesting, maybe up here around 420, if we get some consolidation and a move higher. So I still think SHPH is the most interesting right now, but you can see we're getting a little deeper pullback. This may try a VWAP bounce here. We flipped back to strong bear on the histogram. Zoom in just a little. So you can see we flipped back to strong bear on the histogram. MACD still closed. There's a touch of VWAP. So if this is going to start fading below VWAP, it'll be less interesting as well. TWG is starting to curl up here. Let's go look at TWG. TWG is the third leading gainer. A nice move up to 8 right there. VWAP's at 823. VWAP break on this one would be interesting, and then this press up through 850. I'm going to keep TWG kind of top of mind right now. SHPH is down below 4. So I'm going to take a starter right there. It took 500 shares there at 795. That just broke its first, that's the first 1 minute candle to make a new high at 798. And now I'm going to look for this to push up through VWAP. I'm looking for opportunities to add here. So I added there at 827. The pivot here is 850. If we can break through that pivot, I'd actually want to add again. So 846, 845. I'm going to zoom in on this here just a little bit. So average cost right now, 811. We hit 850, which is kind of where that pivot's at. So I'm going to move this right there and watch that a little closer. 819. If we can break through this 850 pivot coming into the market open, could get a nice curl up into 9 or 950 potentially. So I've got 1,000 shares. Average cost is 811. 5-minute chart's looking good right now. About 2.5 minutes till the market opens here. See if we can get this hold of that EMA and that push back up. I have that prior candle's 830. So watching here at the market open, average cost is 811 right here. I took my exit there, probably gave that too much space. That was $600 loser there, so back to SHPH and see what it does. SHPH trying to make a curl here. There's 426. I thought IVF would give us a little bit more of a push. Or sorry, TWG to give us a little bit more of a push in the market open, and it just didn't. So at 1,000 shares, that was 60 cents. Bigger loss. Should have probably looked to be a little more aggressive on the exit there and not give back so much. Now we'll just wait to see if anything else sets up. I'm content to be patient here. Still green on the day, and if this is where I end, then that's fine. So continuing to watch SHPH here. little bit higher selling volume on this red candle. TWG maybe trying to curl here. There's TWG back up through the EMAs. Took a small position there at 772. Big pullback there. Too early on that one, so go back and keep an eye on SHPH here. So SHPH watching this $4 level holding at the cross up of the EMAs. We're coming back. MACD's open. Kind of seems to be the one stock that's holding up right now. Although IVF has come up nicely. I'm going to take a position there, starter on SHPH. We're holding the 21, transitioning back to strong bear here. Or strong bull, excuse me. So just watching SHPH here. I'm in at 418 right now. So just looking to see if this will hold up here, if we can get a push higher. So far, 5-minute chart looks good. There's 419. Nice to see if we can get that break up through 450. Got 1,000 shares just watching here. I'm gonna add there. So I added 500 shares there at 422. There's 430. Just watching here. We got 1,500 shares. My average cost right now is 419. We're struggling to get up through that 420 area there. You can see these topping tails coming in, or these tails here at 420. There's a lot of selling there, obviously. We can get a curl up through that. We might hit 450, but there's a little deeper pullback. 390. That's going to be my exit right there. So now red. I'll just wait and see if anything lines up here. We go back and look at IVF again. IVF's like it's trying to set up something under this $4 level. IVF's the leading gainer right now, of 380%. We'll look at the 5-minute for IVF. A little consolidation on the 5-minute actually looks like this could be a good setup for a 5-minute. First 5-minute candle making a high. There's about 10 seconds left on it. Quite a ways below pre-market high on this one. First 5-minute candle to make a new high would be at $4. TWG. Trying to maybe make a curl back up through VWAP here. So look at TWG as this comes back up. I'm going to take a starter there, 500 shares at 807. I added a little bit there at 809. I think this might be coming into halt here. Now this will be interesting on the unhalt. So I have 1,000 shares here. It's flashed up to 840, now at 810. We've got 5 minutes on that, 809. So halt at 809. We'll see where this resumes. SHPH pulling back. IVF back to the 21. And still looks good on the 5 minute here, actually, on IVF. Almost 2.5 minutes left on the current 5 minute candle. And TWG still in halt. We have a resumption about 9:46, so still about 3 minutes to go on resumption here. Just watching IVF. When we look at TWG on the daily, so there's actually the daily charts kind of interesting here. We had a big move on TWG just a couple weeks ago, but the high was 7, and then there's actually a gap fill to 862. So there's a gap fill to here, which typically you're looking at regular market hours for those gap fills. So that's a gap fill to 862, and then it's in a window all the way based upon here what we got a couple weeks ago. It's in a window all the way to 2636. 2636. So I did that recently, but let's pop back and see how much time we have left on our. All right, so we're um, coming up towards resumption here. I've got about a minute left, but right now still looks like a flat resumption. And if we could get a push up 862, then I'd be thinking 9 kind of for the next target. So we'll just see what this does here on resumption. Right now, these bullish histograms. Oh, there was resumption. Let me go back here. So 808, 790. And about back up. I'm in at 809. So my average cost 809 right here. So we'll see what this does. Oh, yeah, got to be out there. Oh, big rejection down. So not really wanting to move up through the VWAP there. So IVF curling back up here. Interesting move on IVF. New 5 minute candle to make a new high there. First 5 minute candle to make a new high. 385 to 390. So I'm going to take a starter there at 385. I'm going to add there at 386. We'd want to see this curl up through 416. So I'm out there. See if this pulls back and holds. SHPH still trying to curl too. Kind of dispersed through these leading gainers. I'm in at 407 here. MACD's open. So I exited SHPH there. I'm back into IVF. I'm watching that it's holding the 21 here, and we're getting a flip on the histogram. So I'm in at 390. Touched the 21 EMA and got bought back up there. So watching IVF here. IVF's our leading gainer. Break up through 4 on this would be really interesting. A break up through 4 would actually be really interesting here. Pre-market high is up around 490. Just a small starter here. I've got 1,000 shares. Watching to see if this will hold the 8 and the 21. We get this split back on the histogram. Could get interesting. MACD is trying to cross up here. No cross up yet, but it's trying. So ideally, I could be adding above about 417 area. As you can see, we've got this pivot up here at 416 or 417. There's 390. If the sellers get bought up there at 390. So tested the 21 EMA there. They're being bought up. 5-minute candle just finished. Now it'll be interesting to see what this new 5-minute does. High of the prior 5-minute candle is 398. SHPH still kind of trying to curl here, holding the VWAP. Looking to see what this will do here. Kind of what this downtrending resistance looks like now. Go back and check out IVF. So IVF is trying to hold. We've got holding the 21, coming in a strong bear, a strong bull, excuse me. MACD's not open yet. Nice push there, possibly. Still looks good on the 5-minute chart. There's 390. There's a 12,000 share seller there, still at 390. 392, good. Maybe bought up that seller there, 392. Now we'd be looking through 420 possibly. If we can get it through 4. A lot of selling there. You can see it's not, we got orders going through with that seller. So there's probably an iceberg order there at 391 there. It finally went through. 93, 95. See if those sellers can get bought up at 95. There's 11,000 share seller. Still there, 10. There we go, 4. So up through 4 and a quick pullback. 405. So I'd be looking to add around 420 for me. 417. So still strong bull. MACD's open now. There's 415. Our limit up's 466. There's 420. So I didn't add there. That was a quick like pop up and kind of rejection candle. Now all the way back down to 390. Still strong bull on the TTM. Just waiting to see here. Not nice to see that hit 420 and then pull all the way back down to the 370s, 380s. But we're still holding the 21 EMA. My average cost is 390, so I'm in an okay position here. MACD is barely open. Right now, leading gainer here, so it's definitely on people's radar. And we're trying to make a little bit of a curl. SHPH is still below this descending resistance. Back to IVF. With these shorts stacked up here, above 4, maybe we'll get the break of that in the short covering, but we may not either. This may just kind of gridlock and sell off, so this HPH is trying to curl here up off VWAP. Strong bull as well on this TTM. So still watching IVF here. If we can get this hold of the 80 MA and this curl up. 1,500 shares, average cost 390 right now. $393, $396. I added there at 4, so average cost $392 now. Looking for those sellers to break. There's about 35,000 shares of selling right there. See those get bought up. There we go, 4 or 5. See if we can get this push higher here. See if this will give us a nice curl up through 420. Still strong bull, still mid-compression squeeze here. Added there one more time. Now 2,500 shares. Average cost 396. A lot of selling right there. We're just trying to wait and see if this will break. A couple sellers at 408. 5-minute chart still looks good here. Still in a mid-compression squeeze. MACD's open. There's two 10,000 share sellers there at 403. Looks like they may have pulled their orders. There we go. 410. There's some sellers there. 410. 27,000 share sellers there. 409. Just looking to see if we can get a big pop up through these sellers at 410. It's good that we're holding 4. Still in mid-compression squeeze. Strong bull. Sellers are, there's two 10,000 share sellers there at 407. And we're chart down here. So I've got 2,500 shares here. My average cost is 396, which is just below this 80 MA. And the 21's down at 388. And we've had a tough time right here through 410. There's been those couple of big sellers stacked. See if that'll get bought back up off the 21 EMA there. Still good buying volume on the 5-minute. The volume profile still looks good. There's a 15,000 share seller there. I got bought up. 13,000 shares. That bought up, bought up. 407, 410. I'm looking for a chance to add here. Thus holding. Added there. Average cost 399. Up to 420, 425. Let's see if we can get this rip up to 450. We really need some pretty big short covering here. MACD is trying to stay open. So I added there at 410 and 414. Average cost right now is 399. Really want to see this pop up through 420. There we go. Come on. Come on up there. 430. We'll pull back. Still in a mid compression squeeze here. So 5-minute chart still looks good. We're not extended. Added there. Average cost is now 403. Added there again. Looking for the push to 450. Limit up's 492. I added at 437. So my average cost right now is 408. There's 440. See if we can get a push up to 450. And we can break 450 with some strength. We might make a nice little run to. You can see here we've got some room up to 480, but possibly we'll see. Because there's not a lot, even on the 5-minute candle, 5-minute chart up to 476. So that's kind of back of mind what I'm looking for now. Sellers at 440. We'll pull back down. See if these dips get bought up. And sellers at 434. We still look good on the 5-minute. There's 434. Come on, that's 440. Those got bought up. 446, 450. See that seller at 450 can get bought up. 20,000 shares there. There we go. 455. 455. I'm going to set a 2 sell limits out there at 475. And actually, I'm going to take those off. This is getting some good momentum here now. We might get a, so our limit up level is 508. 458. Now we're getting some good push here. A little deeper pullback there. So at 450, I'm going to set 2 sell orders there at 450. We've got those 2 sell orders out there at 450, well, 451. Let's see if we can hit 451 here. Might be up F now up 451%. So I changed those sell orders to 447 here to see if those will get taken out. With this extension, we'd kind of be looking maybe first 1-minute candle to make a new high. But we are getting a weak bull coming in here on the TTM. MACD is still open. So I've got 1,000 shares to set to sell 447. There went 1,000. So got 1,000 shares off there. Just watching here, 5-minute chart still looking good. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be 30 minutes of kind of upward momentum. This will hold the 430s. Then maybe we can get a push up to pre-market high. My average cost right now is 413. So I added back there at the 430s. Average cost right now is 416. There's a lot of buying stacked up there at 430. 21 EMA is back at 413. A little deeper pullback here. Wow, and out. Well, recovered some, but then big red candle there. Yeah, that didn't work out super great. I mean, I recovered some of that, about $100 of what my loss was, and just didn't get the move. Big selling volume there on that red candle down. So just watching now to see what else is out there. POLA is above its pre-market high. So added there, I'm in at 346 average cost right now. Average cost 347. Add again there. Average cost 349. And a bigger topping tail there. 358. Let's see where this can get us to here. POLA is now the second leading gainer, so above its pre-market high. I kind of have to assume break even just because of my higher entry. I'm gonna exit there. So not much. That was 60 bucks. Just I'm up. I'm in it higher, you know, and so I don't want to give it a ton of room in case we get a big flush. Yeah, it's popped right back up there into the 360s. So it's definitely got some momentum because it does sell down. So right back there would have been my break even right there anyway. So tough to know. A little tougher day for me today. IVF still trying to hold 4. Go check out IVF again. SHPH sold off too much right now. POLA, TWG is sold off too much. So really right now, like IVF's about the only thing that's interesting, and it's below its pre-market high. Yeah, with that break of 450, I really thought we'd push up into the 490s, kind of try to, or at least test this pivot at 484, and we just didn't get there. So pretty much a break-even trade for me. I was up decently on it at one point, and just was looking to see if it was going to give any more room, which it didn't. Go back and look at POLA again. POLA is the second leading gainer right now. See if it puts in a first 1 minute candle to make a new high here. That'll be at 356. So I took a starter there at 354. Looks like we're trying to hold the 8. My stop loss of 346 would be my out. Okay, out there. So small $10 red. Deeper pullback there on IVF. Yeah, a little bit trickier day today. It's quite a few stocks up, but just a little tougher price action. SHPH sold off too far. And IVF could be interesting if this will pop back up and Gonna line itself back out. But POLA continues to look strong. On that touch of the, well, almost touch of the 21 EMA there. MACD now closed. Just watching the 5-minute setup here on POLA. See if we get a little bit of a bull flag on the 5-minute. We keep an eye on IVF as well still. We got that smaller histogram here, and we did make a nice move. I mean, that was still 70 cents. My average cost was about 40, well, about at 408. I think at the most I was up about $1,200 on that and was looking to see if we would get a push higher and a break up through, and we didn't. So now just watching to see if anything else will set up. Well, it's been a pretty wild trading day, so you can take a look at my position summary here. I ended up $1,500 on the day. I was trading SEGG here, which was hitting the scanners and went up into a halt. It was fast enough. I actually didn't have the live trading going, but I just wanted to show you kind of the positions that I took and talk through a little bit of this just here briefly. So SEGG was going up. I have my trading monitor over here and for my position summary, and it was hitting the scanners. I ended up buying in at 212 on the 1032 candle, which would have been on this unhalt. So as this unhalted and held the halt level at 2, I was buying about at 212, 212, 210, 230, 231, 236, 236, all the way up to 241. And then on the unhalt of that, I did take some off. So I had been down in around the 210s, 212s and adding. So I ended up taking my position off, made a little bit on it. I had a pretty sizable position. And, of course, hindsight's 2020, so you get green candles all the way up. I'll show you. It goes all the way up to 450. But then as this regained strength and came back up through 241, I started buying again. So I bought in again at 241. There's my ads. So ended up with about 7,500 shares right there. And that was at 240 on the, on the 1032 candle. So that would have been right here. And then unhalted, came down a little lower. I held through that. And then as it came back up, I was selling at 260, 248, 258. And I still had an opportunity to watch this again. So then on the 1039 candle, which would have been right here, this looked like it was getting some strength. And I actually took this first 1-minute candle to make a new high. Yeah, 1039. So at 1039, I ended up adding at 415 and 416. And then I sold that at 376. That was just 1,000 shares. So a little pullback there. That was SHPH. So I'm on the wrong track here. So back to SEGG. Kept watching SEGG. Then at 1050, so this candle right here, as this was gaining strength right there, yeah, that ended up being a longer halt. So as you can see, I was in, sold out my SEGG at 258. That was my last exit at 1038, which would have been this candle right here. Sold that out. And then I tried SHPH and POLA again, and they just weren't going. So at the 1050 candle, which was right over here on this unhalt, I added it back in. So on this 1050 candle, when this unhalted and held the halt level of 340, I was adding in. So 361, 351, 351, 392, and 422. And this had a really nice unhalt. If we go back to the timestamps, this had a really nice unhalt, halted clear up here at 424. So my last ad was at 422, and then on the unhalt, I did take some off, and then I was taking the rest off at 437. So my average cost on this at 361, 351, 392, and 422, my average cost was about 370. So when this got up into the 420s, 430s, I was selling, and then we had this quick knife down. Because I added it through 422, I basically broke even on this last 313 shares. So as you can see in my position summary, ended up really nicely on this trade, $4,800 on SEGG, $1,500 on the day. It was a tougher trading day for me today. To start the day, SHPH, I was actually up $800, went into the red, trading these other stocks, TWG, IVF, and POLA, all of which were hitting the top gainers scanner. And then as SEGG moved, I had an opportunity to take that trade. So a tougher day overall for me, for sure. I'm happy to end green. As I mentioned, I'd been up 860 earlier on in the morning, gave that all back and then some. And again, the simulator-based trading is helpful for that because it continues to remind me, hey, look, if you give back half of your green, just be done for the day. And that's a pretty accurate cue. And I've noticed that in my trading, if I give back, if I start the day green and I give back half, I just need to be done because I find myself looking to get back up to where my green was and maybe taking some less advised or ill-advised entries. Fortunately, today, SEGG became a good mover and I was able to turn this into a nice green day up 1,500 to start the week. So hope you all had a great trading day. Thanks for joining me, and we'll look forward to catching you tomorrow.